What is up, Speckit fam? We're going to be talking about some updates to Speckit, and initially I planned on recording this on this coming Friday, but who knew? I can code on the weekend and actually get things out the door. And we have a bunch of updates today. So first of all, and we're going to look here at the Speckit repo because a lot of the goodness that I'm going to be talking about is all documented in the README. You can just scroll through this and find out that now we have a section for supported agents. Yeah, that's right. We have supported agents here that you can easily take a look at and see what we have available for you. So if you're a coder that wants to use Speckit for your projects and you're using an agent that you're not sure, go to this table. Check us out. Check this table out. Now, for the interesting things is starting this latest set of releases. I don't want to say latest release because this launched a couple of releases back, but since the last video, it's new. We actually have support for Codex, Roo Code, Code, and Auggie CLI. So quite a few new agents that were added. That's kind of neat because if you look at the terminal, I'm going to go and launch this so we can actually see this in action instead of me just talking about this. You can actually use them. You'll see them now. So I'm just going to go and copy our favorite UVX command here from getting started, right? I'm going to go here. We're going to go to our documents and source, and we're going to paste the command. I'm going to say init, and this is going to be my project 2. I'm assuming I did not have my project 2 here. So you'll see that now the selector is much more populous. You'll notice that the commands are available for you right there, and we'll look here. So now, it all starts with Copilot, but you can just use the arrows and scroll, and you'll see that you can go Code, Auggie, Roo, or Codex. Now, let's try this for Codex because that was one of the more highly requested features because people wanted Codex because apparently a lot of people use Codex CLI, and that's great. Like it's a good CLI. There's a bunch of good OpenAI models there, but there's a big caveat to you using Codex. And that caveat is Codex does not support arguments in custom prompts. Now, you might be wondering, what the heck is an argument? Let's take a look here. And for this, I'm going to actually go ahead and provision us a Codex project. Right? And Codex is not found, so we're going to restart this with ignore agent tools because I do not have Codex installed on this machine. All right. And we're going to go back to our friend Codex, and we're going to use PowerShell because that's what I'm using. It's just PowerShell scripts. All right, it's going to get the latest release. And there's an important notice here that you'll see this yellow box that says that custom prompts do not yet support arguments. And you can actually go to the GitHub issue and find out what that means, right? There's an open issue that's been filed against the Codex project, right? It's in their repo. Go ahead and upvote that. So if you're new to this, go give it a thumbs up, give it a rocket because we kind of need it. We need it to work properly because without it, the entire Speckit workflow doesn't quite work. So I mentioned that we'll take a look as to why that is the case. So let's go back to the terminal. I'm going to launch this into code. Actually, we need to go to the project folder first. Oh, and by the way, if you're using Codex, Codex also has this weird thing where for some reason they want you to set up an envvar, an environment variable for your home folder instead of just taking the folders from the project like any other agent does. So I just embedded this set of instructions here that allows you to do this. Just copy paste this in your terminal, right? Like you said, like just copy this blue command here, set x Codex home. This is because it's Windows. On Mac OS, you're going to have or Linux, you're going to have a different format, but you'll kind of need to do this. It's weird. I don't like this. Like, just pick up the folder, Codex, OpenAI. If you're watching this, can you please fix this? Just take the folder that already exists in a project, like any other agent. It's good. It's fine. I promise you, it's going to work just fine. Anyway, let's take a look here. So we're going to launch this in code. And we'll see exactly what this means. So when we are actually, I forgot to go into the project. So we're going to go into our projects, into CD my project 2, right? And we're going to do code. Okay, so now notice that there's a Codex folder. I did not set the environment variable because for testing purposes, it's fine. Like we're not actually going to run Codex here, but we have the constitution, we have the implementation specify. So if you use a / command like specify, generally you'll use, /specify I am building a podcast app, blah, blah, blah. You have like the whole outline. And that's fine, but it requires the agent to actually pass that argument that follows the specify to the template that is going to be used to be filled out. So if you look inside specify, we have this piece here. The user input can be provided directly by the agent or as a command argument. You must consider it before proceeding with the prompt, if not empty. And user input is captured in arguments. Copilot does this, Claude Code does this, OpenCode does this. Everybody does this basically, but Codex somehow. So you'll have to do your homework here. And instead of using kind of specify with a custom argument, you're going to have to go into Codex prompts and just modify the prompt in the file and then just use /specify, /plan, /tasks, because that's just how it works for now. I hope that this will change in the future. So again, OpenAI, if you're listening to this, if you're watching this, we want those commands to be available and those arguments to be available. Now, so this is Codex. Another thing that I want to call out about Codex, and you might see this as a warning here, that now also is introduced in the latest version of the specify CLI, is that Codex in particular is going to store some auth-related items in that .codex folder in your project. So I don't know which other agents do this, but you have to be very, very careful to make sure that this is actually git ignored. So you add it to your git ignore if your agent is storing anything that is remotely classified as an API key, some kind of credential, or personally identifiable information. You do not want that stuff leaking out. So be very careful what's in that folder. I'm giving you this big warning that you can see, and just make sure to consider it when you go to your projects. Codex does this. Other agents may do this as well. So make sure to quadruple check that. Now, I'm going to go back here and we're going to use another command here just to show you that we're going to not ignore agent tools this time. And we're going to call it my project 3. And you'll notice that, as I said before, that we now support a bunch of different agents, and including Kilo Code and Roo Code. And Kilo is a fork of Roo, so you might, a lot of the conventions are very similar. So let's try Kilo Code first. I'm going to do Kilo, and I'm going to do PowerShell, and now we have the commands available to us just like any other agent. What this means is that now I can also launch VS Code because Kilo is an extension. So we're going to go to our favorite here, and we're going to go to CD, my project 3. All right. And we're going to launch VS Code. And so now I'm in Visual Studio Code, and I'm going to switch to Kilo. So notice that there's a Kilo Code folder. This folder is very similar to what we had before with any other agents. Again, when we add agents, none of this is super special. If your agent is supporting /commands, let me know. We're going to add it there. But anyway, Kilo Code, workflows, it's there. If you switch to the Kilo extension, and you'll notice that now I can go here to my chat box, just like I can use any chat box. I can have it configured with the VS Code LM provider, and I can do /constitution. Look at that. I have it here, right? I can write the constitution /specify. I can do the same thing, right? Same as with other agents. So now we support Kilo. Now, Roo Code has a bit of even a nicer view, because I can just go back here to my previous folder, and we're going to just swap it out and also run specify in my project 4. And here I'm going to now select Roo Code, because that's what we want to use in the same instance of VS Code. It's still PowerShell. And now we're going to launch this in VS Code as well. So we're going to go to CD my project 4, and then code. And once again, we have now a Roo specific folder, which is great. So you can go here, you can check this out. We're going to switch to the Roo extension and give it a second to activate. And the behavior is exactly the same as you saw in Kilo. So there's nothing really special about /commands. They're just /commands. The same way you use them in any other agent, it detects them. But now I can do /constitution, but it also renders a description, right? So like it's kind of nice. I don't know. I like the fact that it renders a description more so than it just renders the markdown file, right? So specify the same way, create or update the feature specification. So you can use this from Roo Code, Kilo Code, And I don't have a demo for you on this case, but Auggie CLI as well, and Codex. So try those out. Let me know what works, what doesn't work. Also, to make this a little bit easier for you to go in, and if you have an agent that does support slash commands and you're like, Dan, I want to add my agent. What work do I need to do to be able to do that? Well, you don't need to guess because that is now documented in a generic agents.md file. Let's go back to our repository here, to our Speckit repo. And if you go to agents.md, there is a whole process documented for this. We're going to go to the table of contents and adding new agent support. Step by step, it gives you an idea of how this works. Like who's using TOML. Like, and this is not a complete list because this is not intended to be a complete list. I say current supported agents, but that's because at the time when I wrote this, it just had a bunch of them. Now there's, of course, Roo Code and Hilo and Auggie, and we need to add that as well. But this gives you the step-by-step, where this is used, which parts of the code are integrated, what's used where. And because it's an agents.md file, you can use AI to go and build this. So for example, if at some point Warp Terminal decides to introduce slash commands that are just markdown files, point your LLM to this agents.md file, which most clients, most agents would use by default, and say, I'm adding a new agent, and here's the folder for commands, here's the folder for the special instructions or the rules, right? Because that's another, like there's an agent file. It's Copilot instruction for Copilot, it's Claude.md for Claude, so on and so forth. But this file is your starting point. So you can go here, point it, and just create a pull request. Which actually reminds me of the last topic that I want to mention here that we are kind of improving, and that is AI-based contributions. I wanted to bring a little bit of clarity for how those are done. So let's go back to our repo. I've seen over the weekend a lot of contributions that come in that are basically entirely LLM generated. So there's issues, there's PRs, and there's zero context as to how this actually works with Specify or Speckit. It's just somebody had an idea and they just let the LLM run wild. And to be clear, we use LLMs building this project. Like I use Copilot, I use Claude Code, and it's great. But you have to understand what you're changing and why you're changing those things. So if you go to contributing.md, our contribution policy, there's now a section here that's going to be very, very important to read. It's called AI contributions in Spec Kit. I ask you to please go and read this if you are using AI. Do not throw things over the wall just because you use an LLM to generate the description. And those are, by the way, they're very easy to spot. Like you can just peek at a specific contribution and say like, this is entirely AI generated. And this person did not spend a lot of time looking at how Specify or Speckit works. Those PR will be closed. Those issues will be closed. And if that continues, we can actually just block the person from the repo because it takes time. It takes energy. It takes effort to go triage this. So please, if you're using LLMs, by all means, use them. We use them ourselves to improve this project, but you have to put your human effort, your human eye into this as to how this actually works. How did you test this? How did you verify this? What is in this that actually requires Speckit to go and merge this change and go implement this capability? Very, very important. That context should not be lost. So again, if you use LLM, use LLMs to do the fixes, and it's great. I don't mind it. But if these are low effort contributions, those will be closed and those users might be banned from the repository. So again, please be very careful with making sure that you know what you're doing with those contributions. And other than that, again, we are evolving this. There's now a documentation site. That's right. We have docs. I promise that the contribution piece is going to be the last one, but it's not, because if I go to github.io/spec-kit, there's now a DocFX website that we render for docs that we actually show you how to use Specify or Specify. Thanks, Burke. I cannot pronounce the name of the CLI correctly now. Our own CLI. And then you can go to local development, for example, and learn how you can actually build Specify locally. I'm adding a bunch of stuff that actually shows you how to run this on your box and generate the release packages by yourself, so you don't have to wait for us to release a new version of the Speckit package bundles or the distribution, the releases, for you to be able to then test those out and run them locally, even if you're trying to contribute to SpecKit before things are properly merged into the production branch. So anyway, this has just been the work that I've been doing over the weekend. So there's more to come this upcoming week. So stay tuned for some changes. And I did not forget about the fact that I need to write some details as to how this can be actually applicable to what we refer to as brownfield projects or existing projects where you need to have a little bit more context. So thank you for watching this. Thank you for your contributions. I very much appreciate the contributions of folks that helped us bring in Kilo and Auggie CLI. So they're in the changelog. Go to the changelog, go to the repository, check out who is actually contributing. So if you go here, you'll go to the repo itself. You can look at the changelog. You can see the things that are actually updated, and we give credit to all the folks that are adding things to SpecKit. Thank you so much for doing that. And if you have any questions, reach out anytime, comment on this video, or just open an issue, go to the discussions as always. And I will make sure to see you in the next video. We're going to be talking more about SpecKit. Until then.